Hi, I'm Bridget, the SoFlo Flipper. Welcome to my channel. And it's been a little while since we've done a what sold. So I thought I would just kind of give you some, like a high level overview of what's sold. Picked some things that have sold so far that were kind of relevant this month in October. So without any further ado, let's kind of take a look, and I'm going to show you some things on eBay, Poshmark, Etsy, Mercari, give you a little taste, just to kind of give you a feel of what's selling right now so you know what items to go ahead and list. So let's get going. All right, so I'm going to go over some of my eBay sales so far in October. And I've only picked out about 22 items for you today because I didn't want to make it too long, but I wanted to give you some relevant items. So the first one is a trail of painted ponies. This one is called the Dream Warriors collectible figurine. If you are familiar with the line of Trail of Painted Ponies, you would know that they range in value depending on the pony, anywhere from about $20 to up to about 120. This one I did have a little while. I've had it since September. Oh wait, no, excuse me, I'm getting confused. Yeah, I've had it since September. I put it online on September 14th. So actually, this one sold really quickly. But there are some that do take a while to sell, was my point. Okay, so next item was a Kate Spade Newman Drive Mini Carly Cement Cream White Floral Cut Crossbody Bag. So this is basically a white bag, more of a summer bag. And I've had it for a while. I've had it since July 30th. Since July of 2023. So it's been a little over a year. So I got a best offer of $20 and I went ahead and took it because now we're out of season for white and I was going to be carrying it a whole nother year. And I think I paid probably about six or $7 for this bag. So it's not a big winner, but my point on that item that I wanted to share with you is if you get an offer and it's out of season and you're going to make a profit or you're going to have to carry it another year, you may want to consider taking the smaller profit. All right, so the next item I'm sharing with you is a pair of Coach Chelsea men's black pull-on leather boots, size 13D. So obviously good brand, good shoes, in season. I got an offer for 45. I did have these on since November in the middle of winter. But it's always better to sell things as they're coming into season instead of on their way out. So the end of November, people are starting to think about spring. Now that doesn't mean it couldn't have sold. It could if it's a good brand. But anyway, I took a best offer 45 and was happy to move those along. I'm sure I paid, I don't normally pay more than $9.99 for a shoe, and most of them $6.99, $5.99 or $6.99. The next item that I wanted to share with you is a rare hand-painted Portuguese ceramic round tile, 9 inches. And this one is a blue and white pattern, as you can see, and it is flat. So it didn't come up like a plate. It was literally like a round tile. So it could be used as a trivet or a small tray, or it was also designed to be able to hang on your wall. And this one was really beautiful and unusual because it had the dog and the rabbit in it. So this was kind of a neat piece. I paid about $4 for it and it sold for $28. And I had it listed since the middle of August. So it took a couple months. And even though that was a tile, not a plate, I do want to mention that I do sell not collector plates, like one in a series of 20 Hummel plates, not collector plates, but I do sell artisan plates, decorative plates, single plates of collections that are very expensive all the time. All right, the next item is a set of 2 Pottery Barn white stoneware canisters with the large cork lids farmhouse. So as you know, farmhouse is a big style right now. And these are kind of also a take on vintage because the canisters back in the day a lot of times had cork lids. So this could go in many people's styles home, not just farmhouse. But I put farmhouse in my title because they were white and kind of had that look. But they're not vintage. I like to buy vintage, but I buy what sells. So Pottery Barn, Restoration Hardware, West Elm, Crate and Barrel, CB2, all of those labels, Williams and Sonoma, those are all high-end labels that are well-known, and people will pay up for items with those brands on them. So these two canisters sold for $60, and I'd had them listed since the middle of February. So they took about 6 months to sell, but they sold for good money. I probably paid $4 a piece for them. The next item is a Cowboys cheerleaders, 100% authentic autographed photo signatures. And then I wrote two Cicerellis. That's a last name. So in other words, this was written out like to somebody. And it has all the signatures of the Cowboys. And I think it was like a 2018. I don't have it in my title, but I have it in my description, which is not in front of me. But so I had bought these online in an auction lot, and I think I got about 7 or 8 of them. And I have one left, and I've had them for a couple years. And, you know, they just sell randomly. And I pretty much made my money. I paid, I think, $40 for the auction lot. And I made my money back with the first sell a couple years ago. So every sell after that has just been profit. So pretty much I've taken any offer. And the reason I want to mention that is because this one sold for $56.25. And then the week earlier, also in October, on eBay, these are both sold on eBay, was another one. The only difference was this was written out to Scotty, because remember, these all were like signed with to somebody's name. So this one was written to Scotty instead of that other name. And this one I took a best offer of $35. So that makes you kind of think, you know, not only as a seller, but as a buyer, when you see they have multiple listings, you may want to consider, you know, making a lower offer, because in my case, $35 was great profit. I didn't know that 1 week later, I was going to sell another one for $58.25. And just to give you an idea, the lowest I've sold these at were 35, was this one for 35. And the highest I've sold one at was 60. So the majority of them went for about $45. And also, I only had to make one listing for all of these. So not only did I make a lot of money because I had several and got them for a really low price, I only had to make one listing and just let them sell and sell and sell, and I'm down to one. So that's a consideration when you're looking at what am I going to buy and list online, is your time. All right, moving on. We're still with eBay, and I sold this vintage crystal cut glass diamond pattern floral bud small vase scalloped edge for $19.20, and I'd had it listed since June of 2022. So this took 2 years to sell, but to the point that even though crystal is so beautiful when you see it in person, A, it's really hard to photograph, and B, clear crystal is very hard to sell online. That same little vase listed for the same price in any color other than clear probably would have sold within a couple months. That's how drastically different it can be. There's always an exception, but that's kind of the rule. Okay, the next item I wanted to share with you is an Alfred Hitchcock Hour Volume 1 DVD complete television series. It sold for $15.99, and it sold very quickly. I had listed it in the middle of September, so it took a couple weeks to sell. I did that on purpose because, right in September is when all the movie theaters launch all of their horror movies, so you could be all scared all through the month of October, I guess. So I was like, okay, I'm right with you. So I had a couple, scary type movies, and I went ahead and listed them because this is the time of year people like them. The next item is a pair of Puma BMW Future Cat M1 navy white red driving shoes, size 13. Those sold for $99. Now, guys, I like to sell a lot of shoes, and I pick up shoes if I can get them for the right price. And I love to sell them. Now, do you see me selling a bunch of Air Force One and a bunch of Nikes? No, because for one, if they're really good looking and they're at one of my local thrift stores, they're not going to be $9. Remember I told you I won't pay more than $9.99? They're going to be like $30 at my thrift shop. And then you're going to have every reseller out there, they go straight for the Nikes. So not that I don't find a pair of Nikes from time to time, like if a cart just comes out and it's a good price or something like that. But I'm looking for like the different the really good brands or different oddball shoes, especially kind of performance shoes that are for a specific activity like biking or mountain climbing, or in this case, these are driving shoes. Usually the thrift shops don't pick up on that. They're like not familiar. It's not like on their chart of like, mark up Nike, mark up this, mark up that. It's too unusual. It's too much of a one-off. They don't really waste their time with it. And those are the deals to be had. So these went through the eBay authentication program. When I purchased them, I didn't even know they would, because I wasn't familiar with every shoe that they choose to put through their authentication program. But I love their authentication program. But anyway, so it meant free shipping for me. So, it was a lot more profit built in for me. Okay, the next item was a lot of LOL surprise huge furniture and accessory set. So I'm not a big toy seller, and toy sellers do really, really well. I'm just not real familiar with what the hot toys are. And in my area, there's just most of the thrift stores either don't even have a toy section, or it's like really very small, very bad. But there is a couple thrift shops that do toys, and they bag them. And sometimes I'll look through the lots, like trying to see if there's anything really great. And I saw these, and anything that's a bunch of doll furniture. I didn't even know it was LOL until I could open it up and look at it and do Google Lens. But I can tell you, any kind of doll furniture, doesn't matter if it's like toddler, preschool, or even little girl, the playhouse, Barbie, whatever, usually will do really well. So I probably paid $3 to $4, and this sold for $20. But this is the time of year toys are going to sell. It doesn't matter if it's used or new. Of course, if it's new, it's going to sell really well because we're in gift giving season and people are already shopping for Christmas. So that being said, get your Christmas stuff listed. If you've got it, list it. Anything gift-like, list it. And trust me, used toys do sell. That's why I have a few in here, because I don't even have very many toys listed in my store. And here we are. I sold these, and on to the next item, another toy. So this is Mega Bloks Dragons Crystal Wars Lot of 3 Dragons. I didn't want to, I probably could have got $15 each for each one of these toys, maybe even up to 18 or 20. But I did not want to waste my time, so I did all 3 of them together, and I sold them for $39.99. They've been on since the end of April, so they took about 4 months to sell. But it's the season, that's why it's selling. And look, the next item, another toy. So this is a Build-A-Bear Vanilla Swirls Swirly Lamb plush toy. Build-A-Bear, if you see them in the wild, always check them with Google Lens, because they could sell for $8 or they can sell for $100. This one, it was just, mid-range, but it sold right away. I listed it well, I guess not right away. Mid-July, so it took a couple months to sell, and I sold it for $38, and I probably paid like $2 for it. The next item is another pair of shoes. Keds and Rifle Paper Company Kickstart sneaker canvas shoes, women's floral, size 9.5. Keds do pretty well. This was like, a floral pattern, but like brand new condition looking. So those sold for $28, so that's pretty good. And then the next item is one of my Poshmark sales. Actually, those Keds sold on Poshmark, just so you guys know. And this next item is also a Poshmark sale. And this is a mid-century modern ceramic pottery polar bear black crackle glaze signed. I'm pretty sure it was raku pottery too, but I didn't put it in the tile because I wasn't 100% sure, and I didn't want to return on something so breakable because I named it wrong. So I decided to show all the pictures, and if somebody knows that kind of pottery, they would have been able to identify it. So I wasn't worried. But this sold for $50, and I paid I think like $6 or $7 at a thrift shop. And it I posted this, or I uploaded this in July, so it took a couple months to sell, but not too long. Now this kind of stuff is my favorite stuff to sell. It's good profit, $50. I know it's kind of difficult to ship. I mean, I don't think it's difficult. It just probably takes a few more minutes than something that's not breakable. But it's my favorite kind of stuff to sell. The next one is also a Poshmark item, and it's this Opal House ceramic face planter with polka dot design. I'm sure any of you that have been out shopping recently, the face planters that are kind of Picasso looking are super popular. So I had got this for like $2.99 at a thrift shop, and I was like, oh, I know this will sell right away because it was good sized, felt decent quality. I'm sure. I mean, Opal House, I don't even know, is that a Target brand? I've heard of Opal House, but I'm not really familiar because I mostly pick up vintage stuff. But and obviously Opal House is a modern brand. But anyway, so it sold. I uploaded this mid-September, so it sold in a couple weeks for $18. This next item is an Etsy item. And as you know, I've told you guys before, if you've seen any of my videos, that I do allow offers on Etsy. Etsy, like about a year ago, maybe even longer, they changed, and now you can submit offers to sellers to try to get a better price. And I have that option open, but nobody ever sends me offers. I did get one this week, and it works differently than eBay or Poshmark or Mercari because they send you an offer, okay, and then you tell them you can accept it or counter or deny, and when it goes back to them, they do not have to commit to buy, so they can just look at it and go, huh. So this week I actually got my second offer that I've ever gotten on Etsy, and I've been with him for a couple of years. And she, it was reasonable. She wanted like $8 off something that was like 40 some. So I don't really remember, but it wasn't, it was a reasonable offer. And she has not purchased it. She still could because this is pretty recent. But yeah, and the offer I got before, they didn't buy it either. So I think that's really funny. Tell me in the comments below if you're an Etsy seller, do you get offers, and do they actually buy them? I'm curious because it seems a little crazy to me because I get offers. I mean, most of my sales on eBay and Poshmark, they sent me an offer and I accepted it, or I countered and they bought it. That's how most of my sales go. And Etsy, it's the opposite. But anyway, let's back to this item. So this was an Italian glazed terracotta handcrafted sitting giraffe sculpture. So he was about like this big, sitting down. about 8 inches or so. But it was interesting that he was made out of red clay from Italy. So you don't see as much of that, especially in figurines. But he was cool, and he sold for $32. And then the next item is also a Etsy item. I had these, my picture shows a set of 5 vintage bohemian ruby red cut to clear crystal tumblers. And then I put read in the title and in the description. I explained to them that the picture shows 5, but when putting them away, I broke one. I dropped one. So there's only 4. So hopefully they read it, because I was going to update my picture, but literally like they bought it right after it happened. I uploaded these. I broke one when I went to go put them away, and then they sold. So they bought the 4 for $30. And I think I paid $2 a piece for them. So I had bought 5, but of course only sold 4. And then the next item is a kind of a low dollar one. It's an Etsy sale, but I wanted to show you guys because these are a vintage hand-painted ceramic turkey napkin ring set of 8. And I again put read in the title in all caps, because there were chips on almost every single one of these. There was 8 of them. There was 3 without chips. And then like 3 had like a tiny chip somewhere. And then 2 had kind of more significant chips like on the bottom or in the back. So I put that very clearly in my description. But I had purchased these like at a thrift shop in a baggie, so I couldn't see the condition that they were in, because they were all packed in there. And initially I wanted to just throw them away, because I was like, there's more of them damaged than good. But I was like, I bought them because they were turkeys, and people are thinking about who's coming for Thanksgiving and how they're going to set their table. And I was like, you know what? And I only paid like $3.99 for them, but I went ahead and put them out there at $14. It's just kind of like a lesson learned for me that might as well try to sell it if I've already listed it. I mean, if I've already paid for it, I already have it. As long as you disclose it, people will buy it. And then the next item is a Mercari item. I haven't been selling very much in Mercari since their change, and now that they add additional fees on top of the buying cost and on top of the taxes. But I do get some, and they're always good when I get them, but I just don't get as many sales from Mercari anymore. But anyway, this one is a Tiffany & Company blue large gift box. It's just an empty box. It's used. It's almost perfect, but it is not brand new. And it was 13 by 13 by 4. It sold very quickly. I would want to say like within a week, for $57.42, and I paid $7 for it. I just listed 2 more boxes like this, and I listed 5 felt bags that are kind of like dust covers for purses. I happen to know that these were actually dust covers for silver-plated photo frames, but they're basically, they could be used for whatever you want. And 3 of them have already sold, and I listed them, I think, last night. The boxes the night before, which haven't sold yet. 2 more boxes, and then I listed 5 like dust cover bags, and 3 of them have sold already. So if you find a really good brand like Louis Vuitton, Tiffany & Company, any Hermes, anything really high label, and you can get the box, even a tote bag, anything is money. Anyway, moving on. This is another Mercari sale. This is a 1997 Jemmy animated singing and dancing Monster Mash Trio Halloween figures. This thing sold, I think, like 2 days after I listed it, or maybe even a day, because it's vintage, number 1. 2, it's Halloween. And 3, it's Jemmy, the brand Jemmy. Those That trio is like winner chicken dinner anytime you find it, whether it's Halloween, Christmas, I don't care what holiday. I mean, Halloween is like one of the best for Jimmy, but Christmas would be like number 2, or maybe right up there with Halloween. But anyway, these guys were tested, they worked, they danced, they sang. I sold them for $28.06. Focus on things for Christmas or fall related for Thanksgiving, serving dishes, platters, candlesticks, and then gifts, and of course, holiday decor, placemats, table linens. I've sold cloth napkins lately, all that stuff. Think about what you're going to use for the holidays, and people are buying it now. The last item I wanted to share with you is back to an eBay item, and this is just sold over the weekend. This was a 19th century Japanese Hirado Arita water dropper dog puppy figurine, 6 3/4 inches. He's a little, figurine, and boy, these were priced all over the place. And I'm sure this isn't like an antique one. I think this is probably a reproduction. I just had no way of authenticating, so I just tried to price it as it was a reproduction, and it sold right away. So I wonder if somebody looking at it said, "Oh, this is the real deal." If they did, I don't even want to know, because that means it would have been worth hundreds of dollars. But I paid like $5 for it. I sold it for $70. It sold right away. I'll take my money and run. I can't know everything about everything about everything, and I learn all the time. As long as I'm learning and don't make the same mistake twice, I figure I'm doing okay. But that's what I have for you guys. Those are some of my tips for what's selling, what should be selling soon, what to get out there and hunt for, and what to get listed. And I, as always, thank you for joining me. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, a like, and make sure that you subscribe so that you get notified when I put out my next video. My next video will be a thrifting video. And thanks again, guys, for joining me. And I can't wait to see you next time.